Hello, everybody. This is Jules, and before we begin, I would like to say a few things regarding this wonderful podcast. This is a project that I have been thinking about since 2019, and it's only now that I have managed to get it going. So I do appreciate that you're taking the time to give it a listen. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Creative Caravan that has supported me in the production of this podcast. Also, a very big thanks to each of my guests who allowed themselves to trust me with their stories and helped me in creating a space where people can feel like they can relate to one another, learn from one another, and find a sense of belonging. Enjoy! Welcome to So This Is Love, a podcast about love, the loss of love, heartbreak, and the meeting of self. We share stories on how the relationships we once had teach us about who we are and define who we become. And maybe through these stories, we can answer that age-old question. Is it better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all? So, this is love. And welcome everyone to another episode of this podcast. Today we are joined by a very special gentleman. His name is Steve, or Steven, not his real name. And he's here to tell us about a relationship that really kind of shaped, I would say, his ideologies around love, connection, and maybe himself. He'll let us know a little bit more about that with a young lady called Sandra. Welcome, Steven.
Thanks.
So it's a beautiful day today.
Yes.
It's actually cold, but still a beautiful day. The sun is coming out. And I just want you to take us through the relationship that you had with Sandra. We've spoken a little bit about it. You said that this is a relationship that you had in your early 20s, kind of in getting into campus, all the way out of campus.
Yes.
That went on for about, you said, 4 to 5 years?
5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
Right now you're much older than that.
Yes.
You're heading into your 30s. So you're no longer a young buck.
No.
Yeah, but I'm assuming you've had other relationships after your relationship with Sandra.
Well, we'll put a sticky note on that.
Okay,
Yeah.
put a point on that.
Yeah.
So I want us to start from the beginning. Your relationship with Sandra. How old were you and how did you meet?
Okay. I think I was 21, 22, heading to 22, thereabouts. She was 19. I know that's a teenager. And we were young. High. And, so how we met is that it was in campus and we had these, what is it called? The competitions where you come and meet people, just as first years, we were first years that time, we were trying to learn about new things. So there was a drama competition being held, and I was into drama at that time. So I said, let me go and see what's happening. So when I reached there, we are auditioned, and when we leave the hall, I see someone drawing from outside. And I'm like, who is this person drawing? And she looks like a riffraff. So
What do you mean she looks like a riffraff?
She looked like a riffraff,
Expound.
Like, tomboyish looks, and I actually thought it was a guy at first, and then I saw the hair was a bit long, and then she stood up, and she looked confused. So I approached her. I actually remember what she was wearing, and I keep on telling her that.
What was she wearing?
A purple hoodie, grey trousers, and Crocs, which I hate. I really hate Crocs. So, I'm like, hi, you're drawing, yeah. And, I like art a lot. So, I was like, can I have your number, so that I can commission you for pieces. At that time, I was really broke. And I wanted to commission her. And also her, she didn't know anything about selling art or whatnot. So she was like, no, I can't give you my number. When you're in first year, you're shy. You think every man who approaches you, has ill motives. Mm-hmm. When I approached her, I was with my friend who had passed the auditions. Myself, I failed. And she was like, I'll give your friend my number. I was like, what?
Ouch.
rejection. But anyway, like, it's fine. He's my brother. At least at that time, I knew that guy was interested in some other chick who was apparently her friend. So later on, he gives me the number and I text her. So she thought, okay, we can call, the other guy is called Brian. It's always a Brian. And then, Brian tells me, you know what, I'm not into her. I like the other chick, so you take the number. And I was like, competition reduced. So I text her and you're like, can we meet Badai? Then we start talking. Initially, she's apprehensive because I think she was seeing someone else in campus, but first year relationships are discounted. Like, you're just wasting time with this guy. Because they had met in high school and I think they joined the same university. I was like, yeah, it's enough now. Now it's time for you to join the big boys. Despite me being in first year as well.
You want to roll with the big boys.
When you like something, you have to torture yourself.
Yeah.
So we started talking, started hanging. And the problem was, because she's an SDA chick. So at that time, she was really into SDAism, if I may call it that. So I'd never see her on Saturday. Actually, on Friday, from Friday evening, SDAs have this thing called Vespers. So which starts on Friday evening all through Sunday morning. So I'm like, oh my God, we're in campus. I can't see you from Friday to Sunday morning. And that is the time in your campus when Shere imeshika. I'm like, where are you? No, I'm in church. I'm like, oh God, what am I into? So fast forward and, we start talking. And then I'm like, how I made her my girlfriend is that I used to have this killer meal in campus, which if I prepared for you, you'd start dating me.
Okay.
In campus, people are a bit broke at that time. Of
course, we all were broke in campus. We all ate domin, ugali, and skuma every day. Every day. And saucy and soya and all that. But I remember when I had my first help, because she was SDA, she didn't like meat. So like, what is the next best thing? Of course, people want to think it's saucy, but that's not it. So those eggs, bachelor meal. The ultimate bachelor meal, ugali and eggs and avocado. So I made her that, but minus the ugali because chicks are not into ugali and shit. So I'm like, okay, I'll put you rice and some spaghetti. So I prepared that. And she was like, you cook like this every day? I was like, yeah. You're sure? Yeah. So I think she ate into my budget kidogo because now I had to keep up appearances. So by the time she realized this guy does not live like this, she was already in. Smart,
yeah. So when she came in the next Sunday, I was like, you know what? I like you, and I think from the way I'm going, I need a life partner. So what do you say?
At 21, you knew that you were ready for a life partner?
Well, I really liked her.
Okay.
That's the other thing.
Right.
Because, of course, there are other chicks in campus, but I was like, hey, this one is a bit different. Because also she was hard to get. She was always unavailable. Maybe I'm attracted to those kind of people also. But she was always unavailable. And I was like, hey, this is a challenge. I've never, I can say they used to come easy. But for her, it was like, she had a standard. She was like, you can't just treat me like this and that. You need to show me that you're interested in me. And I was like, you said you're 19, you're sure? And then I saw her ID and yeah, she is 19. Then we started dating and that kick-started our journey. 5 years, yeah.
How did your relationship unfold after that, especially now that she was STA?
Yeah.
You say she was not really available on the weekends.
Yeah.
You used to go out and drink, party, I'm assuming.
Yes.
How did your relationship unfold?
Oh, okay. So for me, at that time I was, young, high, and energetic. For her, she was a bit chill. I was like, so how do I bring her to the other side, remove her from the narrow path? And so what I used to do is that, she liked being, because she told me, she confessed that she had never received a letter in high school. And I was like, how? Where were you schooling? So I used to write her letters. on sticky notes and leave. I want to congratulate her friends who helped me with this scheme. Because, at that time, I was not the only man who was propositioning her. Because there was another guy as well. Some other two guys. Of course, ladies have all these guys who want them. And I was there. So her friend, her roommate, I remember, is the one who had suggested, I can't be telling you when she's around, because she was either in church or class all the time. I was like, for me, I never realized that people read that much in campus. So if you're in campus, summer. But she was really focused. I was focused too, but not to that extent. So she used to tell me, okay, she's in the room now, come right now. Because at that time, she had a kadudu. Funny thing, I remember in campus, I think we were only two guys with smartphones at that time. It was this LG Optimus Prime. My mom bought me that for passing KCSE. I was like, what? It was so small, but I was so proud of that phone. I love that phone. So it was not big on specs. I think the RAM was about 200 and something MBs and just 1 GB of storage. So whenever we took pictures, it would get full. I'd be like, do I have to delete these photos? So I'd borrow laptops and keep, I think, my photos and her scattered on people's laptops, which is weird now. So I used to leave her sticky notes in her room, telling her, I came to see you, but you are not around. Please call me. I'm making dinner. Pass by. Those sweet things.
That's cute.
Or I'd make her breakfast from my room, because I really loved cooking. Cook and take to her, because she was not big on these food things. She was like, 20 mess. I was like, how can you eat from a mess? Food there is actually very cheap. 10 shillings you've eaten, because it's subsidized. It's cooked by the school staff and all that. So if you eat in a mess, everything is cheap, affordable. Now, because I was not into that mess food, because it's a lot of food, but then it's general for the gen pop, so to speak. So I used to tell her, okay, fine, because you don't like cooking and I like cooking, you pass by and then we can cook together, can give each other stories and whatnot. But most of the time she used to say no, because, niliambiwa na mzazi nikienda kwa nyumba ya kijana, those things.
Yeah.
Anyway, so most of the time she used to say no. So, because I'm insistent, I'd cook and live in her room. So I'm not really sure whether her roommate ate some of the food, because sometimes she never used to say that she got the food, but anyway. So during those years we dated. In between, we broke up kidogo, because she used to live outside the county. I used to live in Nairobi. And, the university that I went, they give you such long holidays. By the time you come back, Ramu Baba. So that time when we had gone it was the first year holidays, and as she was going home, and me was going back to Nairobi, she was like, I've never done this. She knew I was dating her, and she was dating me. So when we went for the holidays, I was like, so what happens now? Because now you have to go all the way to some village and have to go back to Nairobi. She was like, I can come to see you, but now, at that time I used to stay with my parents. Like, you can't come. You don't know Mr. Steve Wewe. He'll kill you alive. Where will you sleep? Because it's a whole day's journey and you can't sleep in my bedroom. What will I say? So she was like, okay, I think I have some friends in at about, let's say, Kasarani, where I can come and sleep. And I was like, this is, I don't see the logistics, because at that time I had no income other than help. And help was not really an income. Let's say she did come, but now the day that she came, I had to babysit my younger brother. I cannot leave my younger brother to go and say, oh, I was seeing my girlfriend. So you're leaving your younger brother to go and see a chick who you do not even know you'll end up with. So it was those crazy times. She got so mad that she traveled all the way from, let's say, Mombasa to Nairobi to see me, and I couldn't come, like a sacrifice. So she went ballistic and she said, I'm not serious. She said, I think we need we need to figure out things. Whenever you're told those things, you're like, figure out things. So we broke up kidogo. But then we came back to campus and I was like, yo, I'd really missed you. Kumbe, there's a girl-shaped hole in my life without you. So what do you say? At least now I'm making arrangements to move out and all that. Then we can try this thing again. So we did get back together. It was just a temporary break. Because funny thing is that during that break, we were talking throughout. It's just that we are not now using the pet names. Now I was using her name, like, so Jules, this is what's happening. This. Anyway, so we got back together in campus. Then I moved out of school, started living on my own.
How, during this breakup, how far into the relationship was this first breakup?
This was now like the first year.
The first year.
Yeah.
So by this point, would you say you were already in love with her?
Me from day one, I knew like, hey, this one is a keeper. I really liked that chick. So when now we broke up that kidogo time, at that time I wasn't even thinking much about relationships. I was like, the boyfriend-girlfriend term, I find it very weird when someone says, this is my boyfriend. I didn't even like being called someone's boyfriend or girlfriend, because you raised up in a community where those things are not called, and for her the same as well. So now when I moved out of campus, I was like, you know what, you can come whenever you're free, you can come stay here, because everyone knows that we are dating anyway. So it's not like a secret, it's not like I'm hiding you, and it's not like you're hiding me. So at that time I was paying my own rent and she was still staying in school. So she did come, but like I said, she's very religious. So she'd be like, those awkward moments where, what am I doing in Mlolongo at 3 a.m., for example? So she'd stay there for some time, then leave because she was not comfortable. But I can say when we stayed together for some time, which, if you ask me, now in retrospect, I think was not such a thought-out move, because at this time, we were still in school. I know people say you build together, but I think at that time we were too young, because we were barely out of our teens, at least for her. I think that time she was 22, 21, and I was heading into 23, 24. And now we are staying together. So you have to think about, other than school, you have to think about how you pay your rent and how you feed both of you, which was not a problem because campus things are cheap. But then I think you need that time also to figure out your life and know what you want to do, rather than just get focused into the relationship so much. So that's what happened. We stayed together for some time, on and off. She got her own place as well. And we are really proud because now, we have two places. At least that's how I was seeing it. When you get bored of our neighbors here because of things that campus students do, we'd go to a place. Yeah, so for some time, stay together. Then we finished campus, graduated together. Have those weird photographies that people take holding each other. I was like, please don't make me do this. She wanted us to draw our caps online. And, well, now in retrospect, I think it's important to do the Sakaja. No offense. Now that Sakaja has made it popular for people to take photographies. So she wanted me to carry her and throw her in the air. And I was like, see how I look. I mean, she's going to break me. And if you imagine I'm looking like this now, that means I was skinnier then. Yeah. Anyway, so for the sake of love, makes you do weird things. We did take those photos. I still have them. Now they make me laugh because it was just awkward. We did makeup and all that for graduation. I was like, I don't even like pictures that much. But anyway, we did them. Moved out of school. I came to Nairobi. She went back home because she didn't have a job. At that time, I'd already gotten work in Nairobi. So I was working and we were trying to look for her employment now, opportunities in Kenya. Tulitafuta kazi. Yeah, but she's smart. So we remember we used to do these campus challenges. And I think that's what helped her get a job, because one of them managers, which is weird because now he's my friend and her friend and he knows about us. So I wonder how they relate at work. But anyway, now he got her a job in one of his companies, and she started working. So now the thing was, I've moved out. She's moving to Nairobi, but I don't think it's going to be appropriate for her to come and stay with me, because I'm struggling. In as much as I'm making money, black tax, African families, you still have a lot of things on your mind. You also want to, this is your own space now. You want to play FIFA from Friday to Sunday morning in your boxers. You want to walk naked, without someone telling you, hey, Fango, we have neighbors coming. Where are neighbors coming? Anyway, so...
Yeah, you're young at this point.
Yes.
You finally got a little bit of freedom. And you want to
freedom.
You want to learn how to live on your own, because when you move in with someone, it's like you have to take care, especially if they move into your space.
Yes.
No matter what, it always feels like you have to take care of them too, doesn't it?
Exactly. And you have to walk on eggshells, because you're like, okay, I don't want her to feel like this is just my space and that she does not belong here. Because sometimes you can do those things unconsciously, where people now start feeling, is it because it's your place that you are telling me that? So I didn't want to do that. And I was like, I think for the better part, let's get you a house. We can chip in rent, because I was earning much higher. At that time, I was still in campus when I got this job. So I had a lot of money. Yeah. Because in campus, when you're told all this, because I remember when I got my contract, I was like, you are paying me this much? You're sure? The manager was like, you're not even reading your contract. No. I was like, at that time, young and foolish. Anyway, so we get her a place downtown, and me, I'm staying this other side of town. I like the distance so that you can feel like you're traveling to go to see someone, not just like, I'm always against the idea of lovers leaving same locality. Go to another county so that I can plan and come. Anyway, so she starts working. And like I told you, one of the things that attracted me to her is that she's very smart. So it was only a matter of time before she started getting promoted. And within 2 years, she was already a junior brand manager. So by that means her skill salary has gone up way higher than mine. Because at that time, I was like, hey, I'm thriving with this, my 20 or 30K from this company, my rent, I know how much I'm paying. I have to small gigs here and there. And her, because she was really focused. She always knew what she wanted. For me, I was, okay, in terms of jobs and expectations, she knew what she wanted in her line of career. For me, I was like, let me try different things and see what sticks. Because, she's also a creative, she's an artist. So she abandoned that and went into corporate. And within 2 years, she had risen to a junior brand manager. Now it's time for her to move, because, you can, wherever she's staying right now and where her work is, things are different.
How much was she earning? How much more than you was she earning?
Hey! Let's say almost 3 times as much.
Wow.
Yeah, because, I signed this contract while I was on my 3rd year of campus, right? And heading into the 4th year. So I was still on the same salary. I was comfortable, let's say, because I'd never really thought about, by the way, why did I sign this for this amount of money? So when she left, and she joined as an intern, then she got promoted. So of course, she grew faster. And her salary became thrice as mine. So I was like, okay, we need to have that awkward conversation. But I can't say that money really was part of the problem, because it's not that none of us was not working. Just that we all knew how much each earned. And by this time, our expenses were minimal. My brother had finished school, and because she's like the third born or second born there, she was not really too much black tax or something. So all the money was hers, and my money, most of it was mine. So I could say that our salary together was this.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Did the fact that she earned more money than you affect the relationship in any way?
Well, not in my end. I can't talk on her behalf, but for me, I can't say that I ever felt threatened. Of course, initially, when now people are like, yo, I saw your chick hanging out with Caroline Motoko. What are you doing in Mlolongo at 3 a.m.? So she's like, when people now start giving opinions, that's when trouble starts seeping. Because I also know that's what led to the breakdown of the relationship. At this point, we were okay. But then everyone commenting, because then we had always lived our life privately. We never told people a lot of things. So now, after campus is when now we started inviting our friends over, treating them, living, how can I say, just having these parties, like I'd say, Jules, come over to my place, we're having a luncheon with my friends and all that. People pry a lot. So I think that's what led to it. So at this time, we're still not living together. As she's moved out, I'm also moved out from my first house. I think I moved into a place because it was more comfortable. I can't lie. Me, as long as I had my PS, I'm good. And my music system, niko sawa. Funny thing, do you know I still have my 3 Sufurias from campus?
As mementos, or you just...
I'm like, do I need new Sufurias? For what? They're working.
They do the job.
And they're faster because, have you ever cooked with the coil? It's like the electric cooker.
Yes.
Yeah. So, they were thin film so that they hit. And I'm like, I'm saving gas if you think about it. Anyway, that's beside the point. So she moved out and she was like, you know what? Now this is just before COVID.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she moves out and I'm still at my former place. And she's like, so I have a bigger house and you're my guy. So you just come over for a weekend, a babas. Don't know how I found myself in Naivasha. So I'm there. I'm like, have I moved in or what? Because you told me that's the weekend and today is Tuesday and I'm still here and you're telling me to stay further. Anyway, we are comfortable with each other. So I started staying there, which I also think is part of the problem. Because, I'd never really felt like this is my place. It was her place at the end of the day. Because then her siblings would also come and they'd find me there in my boxers and be like that awkward moment. Chicks are really, they're future focused. So by the time she was moving out to the new place, she had already budgeted for seats. Me, I didn't even have a seat. Me, I was like, I have a bed and one stool. Like, it's also good for your back. So at this time, she had bought seats. She had bought a carpet. Like, it was a homely house. So you can understand why I also want to go back to my stools. I was like, hey, my house used to be cold because I like living on, the topmost floor. So at this time, I was living on the 4th floor, the last floor. It was cold at night. But house was so warm, and you'd wake up, there's Uji. I'm like, why will I go back to Jehannam? Why will I go back to my 3 Sufurias? So I think we just started staying. And, the problem was we never talked about it. I was going to go there for a weekend, and then I was given spa treatment, and I was like, this is it. This is what I have been praying for. I'm not leaving this house. So I didn't think she minded, but I think we really should have talked about it, just because when now the relationship was breaking down, one of her issues was, you don't pay rent. I was like, I was supposed to pay rent.
Were you still paying for your house?
I was paying for my house because, because of my PS and my cycling, I'd hip on Fridays, go do my cycling, then come back on Sunday, like an African dad. Sunday morning, kuna watu huku. At that time, I was still paying rent for my house, and we were chipping in for food and all that. At the back of my mind, I probably the problem was because I take things too slow, and I know that's a problem. I was like, we'll get to this conversation when we get to it, not right now. There's a lot going on. Let us first finish. So I'm still paying for my place, and you're still paying for your. So we can say that I was not like 100% into it. I was like, I'm just here for some time. When things get tough, I'll just heap to my gigs and let you sort out your issues. Then I'll come back. And so that's what happened. And when people stay together, friction, especially when family members are involved. Because, have folks would come and stay, have friends, have family. Brothers would come and stay sometime as they go to school. And also my sisters will come and say hi. And also forget that this is not our house. And they end up staying for a night or two because she's also very sociable. So I really think at that time is when things started going haywire. Because now we are involving a lot of people. We never really had time. Because Monday, she's working. Monday to Friday, she's working. And I'm also working. So she'd have these, what are they called?
Events,
setups, because she was in charge of a lot of people.
Like activations.
Yes. Actually, she is in charge of a lot of people, when she does that. And most of the time it take place on Fridays and Saturdays. So that was the time we could have together because me Sunday, I like going to see my parents and my folks. So we never really had time together. We were living in the same house, but she'd leave earlier or I'd leave very early because I was working across town, So I'd leave the house very early, come back late. The same for her. Like, we just used to meet each other in bed. Like, oh, you're also here? Yeah, I'm also here. So by that time, I think, things started going haywire and our attention started shifting to other things. I think the first sign of trouble was on this day that we didn't talk for we had set up a movie night, so we chased away everyone. And we said, so this Saturday, we are going to do movies. We'll do Nyama Choma and just sit in. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if the guy thing happened where I forgot or something. But I remember when I came back, she was a bit mad.
Oh my God, Steve. I forgot the date night.
It happens. I was a lot on my mind. I mean, paying rent 3-4 years.
Moving across town to go to the office.
Moving across town. So I was like, oh shit. We had something planned out today. So I go back home. So I told you, I ride on Saturdays, right? So I go back home, cancel my ride. By the time I get there, she's already mad. And I'm like, so why are you mad? I'm here. Let's focus on the future. And then we get into a fight. We'll still do our Nyama Choma. We eat without talking to each other because food is separate from the issue. So we eat, but then we are angry at each other. And then the first sign now that was trouble is that normally it doesn't extend past an evening. But on Sunday, she was still mad. And then I got mad that she was mad. And I think she got mad that I was mad. She was mad. Just a house full of people who are mad at each other. And no one wants to be the bigger person. So Monday when she leaves, she kisses me goodbye. But still, I'm mad that, we have not addressed an issue. So I'm like, you go. So at that time, I was working from home now officially. So she leaves me in the house. She comes back in the evening. Of course, now ego issues start creeping up. What am I doing here? Like, why is she going to work and I'm staying at home? So she's supposed to find food cooked, a bath prepared, slippers, back massage, those things that that tear down a relationship. So that's what happened. And then, when she came back in the evening, she was disappointed that I was not receiving her with those Luya things. Because me, I was disappointed. So when she came in, I think at that time I was on a call or listening to music, so I didn't acknowledge her presence.
Oh my
and I didn't know that these things are big for people.
Steve, they are big for people.
Honestly,
you have to acknowledge your partner when they walk into the room if you haven't seen them all day.
Well, I knew that later. But for me, these things are like, this is just, she knows I'm here and I'm here. And like me, I know I love you and you love me. So, those assumptions that we make. So for me, I knew we are good. But now when she walked in, I was like, hey. So I think she thought like I was mad or something. But that time we had moved on. So she came in, I didn't acknowledge her. I was just like, Karibu. there's no uji prepared yet. I didn't know you're coming in early, but karibu. Then she just stayed in the bedroom the whole evening. I was like, okay, is there a problem here? Now the problem was that her brother was also coming that day from school. They had just closed. So now we are 3 people. 2 are talking to each other. Like we have a conduit in the middle, a person who now nani amekwambia uende. So it was that weird moment. And since I didn't want the brother to notice, I was like, I think I'll go back to my place today, and then we can meet over the weekend when he goes back to school. So I left that evening, around 7 p.m. And I think that is the straw that broke the camel's back. Because the next time I was talking to her, she was really sad at the office. And she was like, what, I think, I need some time away from this. And the other thing is that we had booked for a holiday to Mombasa. I think Kilifi or something at that time as well. So we were supposed to leave the next week. And she was like, you know what, I don't think this can work anymore. It's too much going on. So let's just go our separate ways. At first I didn't believe it. I was like, CSI, Kakamego, CSI, those prank shows. But she was really serious.
By this is the breakup. This is not her saying we can go to Kilifi.
Well, we did go to Kilifi because we had paid. It was a lot of money. I was like, you know what? We'll solve this in, there's nothing a beach can solve. Or sex on the beach. The cocktail. The cocktail. Well, when we went to Kilifi, at that time she had just hinted. She was like, I don't think we're on the same page in this relationship. And I was like, it's fine. We'll talk about it. Like I told you, I take things too casually or slow. So we go to Kilifi, Mombasa, for a week. Now, funny thing is that in Kilifi, we seemed to be okay. Or maybe it was the beach, or maybe it was the food. I don't know. But immediately we landed back in Nairobi. I could just feel the cold from the weather and from her and in the relationship. So that time, I slept at her place because it was nearer. And then the next morning I went. This was now on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's back to work. She calls me. She's like, no, I call her because I wanted to check in and see, how is, the Kilifi hangover going on. She's like, you know what, this is too much. I can't concentrate at work, so I'm breaking it off. Breaking what off? Breaking this. What is this? I wanted her to mention. And she said, this ass is no longer, it's not working anymore. Hey, because I was shook. First of all, I hung up. I went and ate first. Because, you cannot argue on an empty stomach. You need strength from the Lord. So I go and eat. I call her back now in the afternoon. I don't think she worked that afternoon because we talked on the phone for 2 hours. Me pleading, her insisting, back and forth, until I was like, I'll call you baadaye. So I call her later in the evening. She's still on the same stance. And I'm like, so what about my clothes? Can I just come for them? I'll send them. It's funny how you can be sleeping with one person today and then the next day they don't want anything to do with you. So that's what happened. And, so I didn't accept it. It took me a while. It took me almost a month because it was like, I've invested too much in this relationship. I've done all my 20s in this relationship. Now I'm heading into my 30s. You want me to become a single man again? Like I'm a baba, those 40-year-olds, a baba in the streets. I did not believe that. I think for me it was an ego issue. Like I'd never been dumped before. And most of my relationships before that, I had one major one, which just fizzled out, It's just campus love, high school love. Let's go our separate ways. We had a good run though. I wish all the best. Send you the recommendation letter to your next partner. But this one, I was really invested in it because, we had introduced each other to our parents. Like her sisters still call me, her brothers still call me. And I'm sure my brother still talk to her. And, that's the issue. So like we have too much at stake for it just to end like this. I mean, what will people say? Which I realize now is an awkward question to ask. After 5 years or more, you can't just wake up and say, now this is over. So where am I supposed to start? When, the things I've done, I've built my life around you, knowing you are a constant. You are part of the pillars in my life. So now that you're going, you're making me, how do I start again from scratch? Hata nimesahau kukatia. I don't know how to talk to a girl anymore because every girl I see is a sister to me. So how do I start from that point again to where we are? I don't think I'll believe in a relationship again after what is happening. But I think she was really, because what she said is that she was just a lot of issues that were building up for her, and for me, I live life light. I don't carry those things. So for her, depending on how she was raised, is that she'd keep the issues that affected her throughout the relationship and she'd carry them forward. And she didn't feel like she wanted to talk to me about them at that time when the issues were happening. So when it all came crashing down, I kind of get her point, because there were a lot of issues, but there were issues that were non-issues to me. They were not like relationship breaking issues. It's the usual. We didn't discuss about the money here. Mm-hmm. You didn't talk to me here. There are things you did here that we could have talked about, or there are decisions you made especially that moving in together without talking. I think that was a big issue that even I feel like I shouldn't have done that at that time. So that's what contributed to the relationship breaking majorly. Because now we are living like tunachumbiana, or we are fiancé and fiancée. Mm-hmm. But we have not really discussed if this is where we want to be or where we want to go. It's not that I didn't know I wanted to marry her. I did. I had plans. But then when I moved in, it upended my plans. Because now I was like, I'm paying rent for my house. I didn't think she wanted me to chip in for rent to her place as well. Because when she told me, I feel like this is an Airbnb for you. I was like, well, I feel like that's so, but I didn't think it was an Airbnb I had to pay for. Because, not that you're earning higher that you should be paying, but I wish you had told me that you felt like this. Because when I was staying here, I was like, I know I'm paying rent for my house as well. And I'm also contributing to other things in the house. Mm-hmm. I just didn't know that this was a big issue for you. Because for me, money had never been an issue in the relationship. You know how much I earn and where I'm getting my money from. And I know how much you earn. I just didn't think at that time it was such a big issue.
Would she ever come visit you in your house when she got the bigger place with
my bachelor pad?
Yeah.
With no seats.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't like coming there. Although she didn't. Because I once asked her, so why don't you go to my place? I was like, yeah, let's just stay here. For me, it was not a big issue, because it's like, okay, fine, if that's what you want. At least now I don't have to go and clean up that place and hide all those things that men hide.
At the point where she told you, I feel like you're treating my house like an Airbnb. At that point where when she was like, okay, fine, why don't I just move in, and the amount of money I'm paying here, I contributed to this household. Had the relationship already gotten to a point of no return?
Oh, yeah. So you remember I told you, now we are bringing in other people because we never used to do those couple things till we'd go out with other couples. So at this time, when we started doing that and people started talking, like, so what does she do? What does he do? I think that talking to each other with other people kind of seeped into the relationship. Because what she told me is that her friend who she works with had just been promoted to a senior level manager. I know we are talking mid-20s. And she had been given a company house, a company car. Like, her salary she never used to touch her salary because everything was provided for by the company. And what the chick was telling her is that, men should not do this. That instructing life, living someone else's life. So now when she started thinking about it, she was like, oh, now by the way he does this. I know when you stay with someone so much, there are things that you just assume are normal. Because it's not like we had a couple that we were looking up to, or my mom and dad, or her mom and dad, that we want to be like this couple, so we are aping them. We are trying to figure out how this thing works, because we all started dating in campus, and I was her first major relationship, and she was my first. So by the time we started talking about it, it was already too late. She had already made up her mind, and because she was now, I think also the other issue that the exposure now was different. What we were both getting exposed to. Our circles had grown bigger, and we had seen now other people relate. So comparison, of course, had to seep in. So she was like, okay, why am I doing this, and why is he doing this? So now it was no longer just about the two of us. It was also about the larger picture, her family, my family. Because now we are no longer, we can't just say that now we are young people. Now we are adults right now. We have responsibilities on our plates. And, at that time, why I didn't want to move in is because I also never want to feel like a burden, like you're supporting me as well. That's why I always kept my independence with that bachelor pad, mahali, because I was sure that also growing up, I didn't want to, like someone to feel like, oh, they took care of me, so they can go. Or rather, now how I see it on Twitter nowadays is that if you help someone, you have to go and say, so I took this guy from the streets. So I never wanted that, and I never wanted her to feel the same way. Yeah. So I think by the time now we got to talking about the money issue, so for me, money was not an issue, but for her, money was an issue. Yeah. Initially, it was not an issue, but I think even if I earned that much at that time, with little responsibility, I'll start really thinking about it. So what are you bringing to this table, actually? So I think that's what led majorly to the disorientation of the relationship, plus the other issues now coupled up became just like, it's too much. Let's just take a break. Also remember, we had never seen other people in that sense. We had always had the two of us. So when now we are seeing other people expanding our circles, we were like, maybe this is how it's supposed to be done, not realizing that we should have set our own path.
Nairobi or Kenya at large, and most of Africa, is heavily a patriarchal society. Yeah. If the roles were reversed and you were making, let's say, 100 G's a month take home, and she was making her 20, 30K, do you think maybe things would have turned out differently?
I can't say, because, like I said, she's very ambitious. I admire that about her. So eventually she would still have made it. However, I don't think, for me, like I said, it was not an issue at all. So I had no problem supporting or living with her that time. Because when you used to stay in campus, when I had my place, I was okay with it. I was like, how much is rent? It was really cheap. It was like 4K. So you see, it was not an issue for me per se. So I knew, as a man, like you had said, in our society, these are my responsibilities. I pay rent, I pay food, and all those things. So I'll provide. I have no issue doing that. So it would not have been. So I think because she was also raised in the same breath, and now I am here in her house, it was like, so this is different, because her father used to provide a lot of things for her. So when she sees how her father is, and then she sees the man she's dating, there's a disconnect, And for me, although I felt it at times, I was like, I'm just staying here for one more day, then I go back to my bachelor apartment. Because I wasn't like I was moving there. I was paying my own rent. So I was like, so she knows I'm paying my own rent, and I'm not earning a lot, but I'm paying my own rent and I'm still buying food here. So maybe we should have had that money conversation earlier, but it was not the only thing that led to the breakup. Yeah.
All right. So tell me about the breakup. I just briefly, before we finish, I want to know how the thing was for you. You said it took you about a month to accept it, but are you over it?
Do I look over it?
I can't tell, Steve. I can't tell. I think you are.
Yeah.
I think you are. I think you're over it. But I just like to know, because a lot of times it's clear how women are when men don't talk often about heartbreak, which is why I was very excited to have you here today.
Yeah.
But I'd like to kind of know, how did you deal with that? What were you feeling? What were you thinking about yourself after that breakup? And at what point were you like, okay, I think I finally got over this? Yeah. Did you get under somebody else, or is it over somebody else to get over this other person?
Side by side.
Or side by side.
Well, so I did a lot. I don't know if you know psychologytoday.com.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I did a lot of reading. How to win her back. You know?
Bless your heart.
How to win. But there was really, I was in too deep. So it took me quite a while, I can say. I think right now is when I'm emerging from it and I can talk about it, because this is the second time, other than me talking about it in another place. This is the only other place that I've talked about it for real. And I think friends really come through. And like you said, men need friends who are there for them and who understand them. Because I don't know what I would have done without my friends, you know. Because at that time, I was spiraling. I was like, oh shit, what, you know, this is 5 years down the drain. And, you know, for me, I make investments with future in plan. So we had set up a few things together with her. We had businesses running. We had a joint bank account. I'm like, okay, these are things we actually should have talked about. So now when the separation starts, I think for her, the problem was that she had thought about it for some time. So she was preparing for it. Because I remember she even suggested a book for me to go and read about breakups. I think it's called Conscious and Coupling.
Conscious and Coupling. Oh, there's a book. I didn't know there was a book.
Yeah, there is a book. I was like, you've been reading this for the last 3 months. She's like, yeah, and I think you should read it. Why? So I think she was preparing herself for the separation, because those were exact words anyway. She told me that, you know, for me, I started thinking about it. So our breakup took some time. When she broke up with me the first time that I told you at work, you know, I told her, let's talk about this. And then for a month or so, I was on my best behavior. You know, everything were good. But, you know, once you've made up your mind as an adult, it's really hard to go back. So she had already decided that she's out. And for me, this is the time now. I was like, no, I've been in this for the longest. So you don't see it coming. So by the time she left, at least she had a support system. And me, I was there alone, 3 sufurias, and no sofa, just a bed. Even FIFA at that time was so boring. I was like, I wanted to break that screen. I was walking the street and seeing people laughing. I'm like, I was hating on people. You know, you could see someone. I became those people. Mtachana to, you know, I'd go to every those, you know, celebrities and look at the celeb couples of the world, and I'd just be there like, should I set up this?
You became a troll.
Yeah, should I set up this banner account where I just comment mad emojis everywhere?
Oh man.
Yeah, it was crazy. So at that time I knew, because now like I told you, I started reading psychology today because I wanted to understand. Because she had told me go and read Conscious, and so I read the book. I was like, okay, it's a nice book, but it does not get how I feel, you know. Because me, I still believe that I'm in this relationship. I don't know how to be single. I've never been single, really. My entire youth, I've not been single. So where do I start? So I started reading psychologytoday.com. This is how far I've made it if I've forgotten the website. You know, how to win her back. How to say sorry in 1,000 languages. I did say sorry in 1,000 languages. Even I think because I remember she liked cooking food. I'd cook meals and take to her place, leave them there with notes. try to remind her the first time. Maybe she has amnesia, something. But it didn't work because she had decided. And so now I knew I needed to get help at that time. So I called up my friend and I was like, yo, this chick has destroyed me, man. At that time, I think my friends knew because both of us were very private. By the time we knew, this was like 2 months in. Now there was a competition we were supposed to do together with her. I had to cancel, but she went on with it. That's how I knew now she's moved on for real. Because if she can stand in front of all these people and win a competition, we are supposed to partner together, and while me, I'm there in my... Anyway, so I call up my friend and I tell him, yo, you need to come over because I think I'm losing it. So when my friend comes over, I'm like, the first thing he asks, hey, where is your chick? I'm like, have you been sent? Because, we are no longer together. First of all, he's shocked because... now the problem now became was that now they're the part of the couple that we used to invite over to our place most of the time. And initially, just before we broke up, they were the last people we were with together. I invited them for food. So it's like, I didn't see it coming. Now men can be insensitive. Mnakaa fiti together. I'm like, okay, just say it all. Ishe. Yeah. Me, I thought you guys were going to get married. Because I wanted to be the godfather. Like, just shut up. So, when he realized it was serious, is when now, I used to think Diamond was lying. Like, silali. For the first, I think, week, I couldn't sleep. I became so needy. Because that time now, you are alone. And at call, because you're used to talking to this person every other day, so unconsciously you'd even call someone else her name, like, hey Sandra. Like, oh shit, we're not together anymore. So you had to go back from scratch. But I think at that time my friends really came through, because I went to stay with one of my friends. It was that bad. I went to stay with one of my friends for a week because me, I'd refused to eat, to cook. I was like, what is the purpose if I don't have you? Those things people say in songs, I have nothing. But anyway, so yeah, my friends really came through for me. And because, like I told you, we are always just the two of us. So we had never seen a breakup. I'd never been in any major breakup. It was just those things that end. Now this one is someone telling you, I don't feel you anymore. I'm rejecting you. And rejection is very personal. Because there's no major reason. So what is the major reason that you're breaking up? So that I can fix it, Right. But you can't fix some things. They're just broken. So even when you tried, like, just tell me what the reason was. What's your reason for a breakup? And since she didn't have any, she just threw me random things, to at least keep me away so that I don't. Because now if you told me there's nothing, I'd go crazy. I'll be like, so why did you... Is there... those things that people say. Yeah. Is there another man? Is it another woman? Is it a dog? What is it? I'll fix it, Trying and salvage. But for her, I think she had already made up her mind. And for me now, when it was coming, when it started hitting me, later on, because my Saturdays were just for her. I was like, kumbe Saturday nakuanga refu hivi. I didn't know. Saturday is so long. And you can be lonely and alone, which is even worse. So you're there alone and then you're also lonely. Yeah, so the things that come to your mind are just, they're just thoughts that at that time, if you really don't get professional help, it can really mess up with you. So even when my brother was undergoing a heartbreak last year, I was there laughing at him because I was like, oh, you'll be fine, relax. Yeah, next year you'll be fine. So I think it was a good period for me. I actually think I needed that, in all honesty, because now it gives you a sober view on relationships rather than this Disney Mickey Mouse feeling that, forever, happily ever after. Yeah.
And they do say, we talked about being alone and lonely and the things that come into your mind. They do say an idle mind is a devil's workshop. But I think if your idle and lonely and sad.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's something bigger and more profound than the devil's workship.
Oh God.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's things you do. I recently talking to one of my neighbors, and I was telling her, because me and her are both single, and I told her, listen, we need to, if you're bored in your house and you want to come over, let's have a meal. Because I'm like, loneliness can make you make some very, very, very bad decisions. True. You go hang out with people who you have no business hanging out with. Surround yourself with the wrong kind of people who are also in some form of self-destructive behavior. So I think a support system is so important.
Yes.
And I'm happy at least you had a bit of that.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So where are you now in relation to that situation?
Now I think I'm in a better place. I think I've been able to assess. I didn't get into a relationship immediately after, because I know for guys, you're like, I'll just get another chick. But I wanted to assess. Like, I made a conscious decision. I said I'm not, because I remember that when it started hitting me, I like you said, things, you start thinking about a lot of things. So at that time, I think I drank a lot at that time. Hey, I was like, where's the next party? I wanted to forget. But it was not sustainable economically, socially, and you can't drink every day. You still have to go to work. I remember I even resigned my job because I was not performing.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was crazy. So I was like, fuck this job. Maybe it's the reason why. Because the other thing is that I was very busy, throughout the relationship, trying to, because I can't stay idle, So I took up a lot of work. So I quit all of them, and I was like, oh, my savings are running out. So, and I'm like, now I need to fend myself. I can't go back to my spa, which I'm no longer invited anyway. So I need to focus. I need to get back to work. And, the good thing is that my boss at that time still had out an olive branch for me. But I never took it because I was like, every time I go back here, it just reminds me of her. Because she used to come and stay at my workplace. We were that comfortable. Anyway, after that, I think it took me almost a year to get back to normal, because I was so invested in it, and I had, the hopes and dreams that you have, and then they're just taken away in one day. So my investments, I was like, if I go with the mutual account, I don't want the money. If I could go back, I want some of that money. So what I did is that I wanted to feel the pain so that I'll never forget it, and also so that I know whenever I can tell the signs when they're coming, because I could have taken a shortcut and escaped from the pain and numbed myself with drugs, but I wanted to feel everything. I wanted to feel, like when you're an addict and then you're taken to rehab, the withdrawal symptoms. So I wanted to feel all those symptoms, and I made a conscious decision to feel all of them. So that's why it took me quite some time to be able to make peace with it. Because I was still like, I'd go to and ask my friends, should I call her? Of course I've already called her, but I just wanted them to affirm me. Should I call her? Like, no, don't call her. Then I go to another friend. Should I call her? Yeah, call her. They'll be like, yeah, I've already called. She didn't pick though. Call her again later in the evening, So I think that time I made Safaricom shares rise. So Safaricom, you owe me one.
Shout out, shameless plug.
So now when we sat down and talked, but like 6 months after, when she was now sober, and when you're now both there with the feelings of the separation, like, I still want the separation. I was like, oh shit, you mean distance, my absence from your life has not been detrimental? She's like, nah, I'm actually driving, bro.
Wow.
Well, she didn't say that, but she looked good, But I think at that time is when I started making peace with it. And I was like, okay, fine, she's gone. The best I can do is now pick up myself and get back to my life. Because, of course there's something missing, but you can't stay there. Life goes on and people are getting other things, and you can't just stay there. You can't be stuck there. You can't be a leech on your friends forever. You need to move on. You also need to be strong. And that's what happened.
What would you say, knowing what you know now, what do you think was your biggest takeaway from the relationship, and especially the breakdown of the relationship?
I think I should have gotten more Sufurias. Better Sufurias. Sufurias were definitely the problem in this relationship. Anyway, I think the thing that I learned most is, just, I think I had made her my life, which is part of the problem. And she might also have made me her life. So we were so stuck with each other, we never really got to see other perspectives. It was just her and me throughout. So I can't say I was bored of her, but I do get if she was bored of me, because that's a big issue. When it's just the two of you all the time, you need that space to breathe. You need to have other hobbies, because now it was just all the time, just me and her. So one of the takeaways was that. And I think also just having your own life independent of the relationship. Because I think one of the things she had said for her was about who is she without this relationship, and that really got me thinking, who is she without this relationship? Because most of her friends were actually my friends, She had known I had introduced her to all of my friends, and they became her friends. So whenever we wanted to hang out, we would hang out mostly with my friends, who became her friends. So I think she had like 2 friends, no offense, or 3, who we used to hang out with, but rarely. Yeah, but most of the time when you hang out, we hang out with my friends. So she didn't want to be defined by the relationship that, So for us, that there was too much. We had become leeches on each other.
You talk about codependency a lot.
Yes, that was the codependency.
Although I don't think codependency is all wrong, just to be clear to all the people listening, I think there's a myth around codependency, but there's a level you get to where it's a bit unhealthy.
Yeah, we needed to be secure outside the relationship and inside. And lastly, just pay your rent, which is also very important. I know finances are tricky issues in relationships, but you have to learn how to talk about them.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's a lot of talk and a lot of everyone telling you how to run your relationship, but I think for me the major thing was that when you lose who you are at the beginning, it doesn't matter if I tell you how to run your relationship, it still won't make sense, because people are dynamic. We want to box people into one thing and let them just be that thing. I want the 19-year-old I met at that art cafe, and she wants the 22-year-old she met, insisting on the number. That's the image that we stay with, and yet we are growing, we are dynamic. So I do feel that sometimes maybe I was still stuck on that 19-year-old, and she was stuck on that 22-year-old, not realizing that we had grown and our lives had changed, so we are not aware on those issues as well. Yeah.
Amazing. Are you still single?
Yeah. I think I took a break because I was like, you know what? I've been in a relationship for so long. But when people say you're single, they just see someone with a Rolodex. Yeah. So today I'm done with Samantha. Yeah. Tomorrow but it's not that. I just wanted to focus on my art kidogo, which by the way has worked out well. Mm-hmm. I can't complain. When I picked up myself, things really opened up. It was tough sometimes because I remember I was left with 10,436 and 22 cents.
Wow.
My bank tells me 0.22 cents. So when I ran out of savings, I was like, where? I need to fix my life now. Because that was my wake-up call. I was like, okay, I'm going into debt now. And kuna kitu mbaya kama dini. So when I woke up finally from the slumber, when you pick up yourself, you also need to be whole. So I think I'm in a better place.
Good.
And I wish her well.
And you wish her well. Now you can say you wish her well.
At that time, I was like, I hope the man you marry has no toes. And your children are born with no teeth. Oh, children are born with no teeth.
Oh, he's shooting blood.
Well, hopefully not, but
yeah.
So I think we are now, let's say we've talked. There's no bad blood. I don't know from her end. I can't speak from her end. But we talked earlier this year, and I was like, the problem is that what she wanted at that time and what I wanted were different, So I was like, I wish you the best, and I'll always be around to support you. But I think that distance is important. Yeah, it was necessary, and it's also important right now.
Low-key, I hope this is not like a toxic thing for me to do right now. But low-key, I think you two, the two of you, I think there's a possibility you might end up together. If, and I don't want to put your hopes up,
no.
Steve, or Sandra, or whoever. But I think the both of you just needed to grow up. And you needed to learn how to be adults outside of each other.
Yeah.
Because you were using the template of young love to be in an adult relationship.
That's true.
That has bills, responsibilities. You spoke about how she had black tax.
Yeah.
You have your own black tax. You're still supporting people in your family. You were just using a different blueprint. And now you've gone out into the world.
Yes.
And hopefully maybe if you do end up together, and hopefully is not the right word. Let's just say if you do end up together, I think it'll be like the better versions of yourselves coming together. And next time, if you get into a relationship, the conversations around money need to be had. You know what? Let me even just go to my phone real quick. There's a post I saw on Instagram yesterday, and I had to save it. And I usually wouldn't do this on this podcast, but you know what? Fuck it, it's my podcast. I can do whatever I want. There's a post I saw that says 8 questions to check long-term compatibility in a relationship. Yeah. Listen, a lot of the stuff we listen to online or watch online or see online, you take it with a pinch of salt, sieve out what works for you, what doesn't. So let me just go through it real quick. Can we talk about money and manage our finances in an honest, fair, and mutually agreed manner? Money is a very important conversation that needs to be had. There's a research that I heard about in a different podcast 7 years ago, where this guy, he followed couples over a period of like 10 to 15 years, almost 20 years, like from the 80s. Yeah. And these are couples from different backgrounds, different races, different economic setups, different sexual orientations. You have straight, gays, whatever. And they had come up with very different findings that I can't share now because of time. But the one that stood out to me was that there's 3 things that couples fight about all across the spectrum. Yeah. The first one is money. Money is the number one thing that all couples fight about, whether you're rich, poor, black, white, Asian, straight, bisexual, gay, or trans. The second one was leisure time, how to spend it. I want to do this. I want to go there. You only want to go hang out with your boys. You want to, I can't remember the third one, but if I do, I'll mention it maybe in the notes of this podcast. But I think money is a conversation that needs to be had. I just don't know how to have it, but I think in my next relationship, it needs to be, because I've still gotten into relationships with this knowledge, but I just I don't know how to talk about it.
We just assume.
Yeah. The second one was, do we feel the same way about having or not having children? Do we both have interests, hobbies, and a wholesome life outside of the relationship? You've talked on that. You've mentioned that. Would I still want to be with them if they stayed as they are, or their undesirable habits never changed? I think that's an important one, because a lot of us get into relationships saying, it'll get better. I'll help them. I'll change them.
Actually, on that point I remember I asked a married person. I became a collector of stories. I wanted to assuage myself. And I asked a guy who had been married thrice. He's now heading into 80s, this is your third marriage. Are you not learning anything?
Yeah.
And then he told me the mistake I made in the first is that I tried to change the people I was with. You know? So most of the guys would say, I found this chick, but, she drinks and I don't want a chick who drinks, so I'm going to change her. instead of just finding a chick who doesn't drink and staying with her, you know. So that's, I think, part of the issue that happens a lot.
I agree. And sometimes we don't use the language in our psychology. I am going to change this person. You don't use that language. So you according to you, you're not trying to change somebody. Yeah. You're just like, see, you reduce your drinking. See,
making her better.
I'm making her better, but you're actually changing someone.
Exactly.
Yeah. What are the absolute non-negotiables or deal breakers that may lead to breaking up or a separation?
Yeah.
Are we able to share our sexual needs and preferences? And are these met or aligned? Do we have similar life goals, worldviews, and core values? For example, monogamy, where to live, travel, family, and how to deal with that. Can we communicate respectfully and share ourselves honestly without fear of judgment? And that was the last one. So if you guys are listening to that, probably just take note of that. But I think it's important to have these conversations. Maybe the skill is finding the wisdom to figure out when to have the conversation and then how to do it in a way that doesn't look accusatory, because you cannot be talking from a point of, I know, you know, it has to be an even playing field. Thank you so much, Stephen, for coming here today and sharing this wonderful story. And to all the men out there listening, it's okay to talk about your feelings. And the ladies who are listening, I think it's these little things that you brought up, themes that are very prevalent in our society. Like, for example, the whole masculinity, femininity roles. I think these are conversations that need to be had more and kind of adjust them, because money is sensitive. And when a woman is, or the female energy is earning more in a relationship, even if you're open-minded, sometimes there's that little, that awkward conversation. Guys, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please remember to rate us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Leave a comment, and we'll be sharing with you shortly how you can be a part of this conversation if you want to be a guest on this amazing podcast. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys here next time. Adios.
Thank you.
If you have liked this episode, please subscribe to this podcast and leave us a review. You can also share this podcast with a friend or two and follow us on our Instagram at sothislove_podcast. If you would like to be a part of this podcast, you can also reach us via direct message on our Instagram. This is Jules. See you next time.